Hello everyone, it's Vyas and welcome back to another episode of the Bright Colors of Inspiration. I want to thank each and every one of you who listened to my very first episode. It has received a lot of positive reception, and that is what motivates me to keep going. I got feedback regarding the background music being too long, which broke up the flow of words, so I took that into account when creating this episode. Any feedback like this would be very much appreciated so I can make better podcast episodes. Thank you all for your support. It really means a lot to me from the bottom of my heart. In this episode, I will be talking about how I found out who my true friends are. There are many different ways to define a true friend. Some ways to define a true friendship include someone who sticks by your side no matter what, answers with empathy, perspective, and honesty, accepts you for who you are, truly wants the best for you, tells you something even though it may not be what you want to hear, but do it with the intent of helping you improve and rise to a higher level. These definitions of a true friend are great, but in my view, it really comes down to one simple definition. Someone who is there for you during your lows and celebrates with you during your highs. If someone is not there for you during your worst of times, they do not deserve to be with you during your best of times. There were people who would not believe in me with regards to my dreams and visions and said that I would not be able to accomplish something. But when I ended up making it, they would try to hop onto my boat. This is an example of a fair weather friend. There is this one quote, "Sugar and salt look the same. Be careful who you trust." And that is true. Let's say the containers have no labels on them whatsoever. It would be very hard to tell which is sugar and which is salt just by looking at it with the human eye. The only way to find out which is which would be to taste it. This is a great analogy for a friendship because, from my experience, there were a lot of people around on the sunny days, but I was surprised to see how many people vanished on the rainy days. The people who actually stayed around are my real friends. It was not easy to tell which friends were my actual friends until I went through challenging times. A true friend is someone you can trust, discuss your problems, and what you are going through. There is this one quote, "Never tell your problems to anyone. 20% don't care and the other 80% are glad you have them." I disagree with this quote because it implies that no one cares about me and that I should not have any friends. If I cannot trust anyone, then what is the point in having friends? I should be able to talk to someone about what I'm going through because I cannot heal what I don't reveal. This means I tell everyone what I'm going through, right? No. With experience, I have realized that it is not a good idea to tell everyone what I'm going through. There are a lot of wonderful people in this world, but there are also people that will use my problems against me. On that note, here is one telltale way to figure out who I can trust. When I get together with my friends, I listen to how they talk about other people. If they gossip about them when they are not around, then they are going to gossip about me when I'm not around. Something I have found is that when I meet someone for the first time, they do not usually show their true colors. They will try to show their best self in the beginning, but as time passes, their true colors begin to show more and more. When I make new friends, I do not open up to them right away. Instead, I give it some time to get to know them better. One thing that I find to be overlooked is people speaking highly of me when I'm not around. I will never forget the time after I graduated high school a few years ago. I played the piano at the start of my high school graduation ceremony. About 10 days later, one of my friends was shopping at the grocery store, and she overheard a couple of strangers in a nearby aisle talking about how well I played the piano at the graduation, and that really made my day. To know if someone is a true friend or not, I ask myself a few questions. Do they care about me and have my best interest? Are they supportive of me when I'm going through tough times? Do they bring out the best in me? Do they encourage me to make good decisions? Not only do I want my friends to be real, I want to be a real friend too. This reminds me of what I learned in the social skills classes I used to take many years ago. The only way to have a friend is to be one. My life has been a lot like an unknown road, since I have no idea where it leads. I had friends who were there for me, but only for a short while. Back in middle school, I had these few friends I would hang out with every morning before school started, and we would play games on our iPhones and iPod Touches. When high school came along, those friends went in separate ways and their interests changed. In other words, they were no longer interested in playing iPhone games. I even used to have them over to my place and we would hang out and have a great time. But later on, when I invited them to come over again, they said they were busy. It really bothered me a lot when they rejected my invite. A while later, I moved on and my interests changed too. My friendship with them wasn't necessarily bad, since they helped me grow as a person at that time, but we just grew apart, and that is totally normal. What I realized from this is that just because someone is friends with me today does not mean they will be friends with me tomorrow. Some friendships are meant to come and go, and some friendships are meant to be lifelong. One of the essential friendship qualities I have mentioned in a true friend is guiding me to make good decisions. So, I want to turn my attention to peer pressure. Peer pressure is where someone encourages us to change our attitude, behaviors, and values to conform. Whenever I hear the term peer pressure, I would always associate it with negativity. But that is not always the case. There are two types of peer pressure, good and bad. When someone peer pressures me in a good way, I gain positive experiences, stay safe, and get out of my comfort zone. Speaking of comfort zones, if I want to rise to a higher level, I need to be uncomfortable, but not at the expense of my safety. My friends have influenced me in many good ways, some of which include working out and getting some exercise, eating a healthy diet, trying new foods and restaurants, and studying for upcoming exams and quizzes. Speaking of exams and quizzes, when I was in high school, there were several friends who encouraged me to commit to studying for 2 or 3 hours each day for upcoming quizzes and exams. I would make a deal with them that I will study for a couple of hours. They would message me later on to check in and make sure I am on the right track. And I did the same with them. Negative peer pressure is when someone encourages me to make very bad decisions, such as breaking the rules, disobeying the law, drinking alcohol and doing drugs, skipping school, bullying someone, and so on. This leads to negative consequences, such as getting arrested, suspended or expelled, hurt or injured, or low grades in school. There are 3 categories of negative peer pressure: rejection, reasoning, and put-downs. Rejection is when someone threatens to leave me out or put an end to the friendship. A friend might say, "If you do not give me the answers to this test, then I will not be your friend anymore." Reasoning is when someone tells me reasons to do something and why it is okay to do it. A friend might say, "What's the big deal? I have done this so many times. I will not get caught." Put-downs is when someone belittles me and calls me names in an aggressive manner to make me feel bad. A friend might tell me, "Stop being such a square and let me copy your answers to last night's homework." During my early years of high school, I used to get dropped off and picked up at a park that is right behind my school, and there was a gate in between. Some days, a staff member forgot to open the gate before or after school, so I would see students jumping over the fence, and I did not think that was right, and was worried about getting injured. So instead, I decided to wait patiently for a staff member to open the gate. Other students around me said, "Why don't you just jump over the fence?" And then I said, "I don't want to get hurt." And then they said that it wasn't a big deal and that I won't get hurt. I still got home and made it to class on time. I just had to wait patiently for a couple more minutes. So, looking back, I feel like I made the right decision to be patient. Peer pressure is all the more reason it is necessary for me to surround myself with those who bring out the best in me, not the stress in me. There are a few strategies I use to avoid giving into peer pressure. Number 1, be around those with similar values. The main way I stay away from those who negatively peer pressure me is by hanging out with friends where we share similar values. The type of friends I choose to be around have a big influence on me, in a negative or a positive way. I cannot change the people I am around, but I can change the type of people I choose to surround myself with. When I hang out with those who are good influences, it makes it easier for me to avoid giving into negative peer pressure. One time in high school, I was going to the bathroom and I overheard a group of students talking about smoking. As soon as I heard them say that, I was like, nope, those are not the type of peers I want to be around. Friendships are contagious and can spread like a virus. If I end up in the bad crowd, the negativity gets passed on to me. But if I go with the good crowd, I get positive energy. Number 2, ignore the suggestion. People have given me suggestions many times, good or bad, and sometimes I do not agree with it. In that case, I can politely ignore the suggestion. Even though a lot of people in my life mean well and give advice, it does not mean I listen to every single thing they tell me. I do not go with the mentality of never taking advice from somebody I would not want to trade places with, because they may have some really wonderful advice that I do agree with. So what I do is that I only take the advice I do agree with and filter out the rest. If I am being told to do things that are against my values, I always try my best to ignore it. Number 3. Just say no. If someone is asking me to do something that I do not think is right, I would say no in a polite way with statements such as, "I don't do that," or "It's okay, I will be fine," or "I do not think that's a good idea." Some people go with the mentality that if they do not conform, then they will think they are not cool, or their so-called friends will not like them. Personally, it is difficult for me to say no because I do not want to risk hurting other people's feelings. As soon as someone threatens to end a friendship with me, that is when I realize they were never really my friends to begin with. An actual friend would respect my decision if I tell them no. I do not think of saying no as being selfish. Rather, I think of it as practicing self-care. As someone who cares about being healthy, both mentally and physically, I need to set boundaries to maintain healthy relationships with others. That means I state what I am okay with and what I'm not okay with. If I do not set clear boundaries, I am not being my authentic self, and that opens doors for others to negatively influence me. Setting boundaries and saying no requires me to shift my mindset about myself and to make myself a priority. Number 4. Leave the situation. When saying no does not work and I keep getting pressured into making bad decisions, I simply walk away. This is usually the strategy that helps me get away from a place in which I feel unsafe. It is always better for me to be alone than around those who make me feel alone. In the end, these strategies do not completely eliminate negative peer pressure. It just helps me to avoid it as much as possible. Peer pressure will always be around me, whether I like it or not. So I always try to prepare myself whenever I go to social events or hang out with my friends, in case it ever happens. To explain what a true friendship is in a nutshell, there is this analogy which describes the type of friends in my life. It states that friendships are basically like trees, consisting of leaves, branches, and roots. Some friends are like leaves on a tree. They are great in the beginning, but when the wind blows or there's a storm, they leave. These types of friends are temporary, meaning that they are only there for a season. Some friends are like branches on a tree. These are the type of friends that are there for me, but when things get too tough, they will fall off and leave. Some friends are like roots. These are the type of friends that are there for me no matter what. We go through tough times and grow from it together. They are friends that are worth keeping. Friends that are like leaves and branches on a tree are not necessarily bad. They may not be my lifelong friends, but that does not mean they do not contribute to my growth. Friends that are like roots on a tree remain intact even after months of not communicating. The good thing about these friends is that we can talk again as if no time has even passed. I am thankful to have a lot of friends who positively influenced me, which enabled me to grow and become the amazing, capable young man I am today. That concludes this episode on how I discovered who my real friends are. If this episode inspired you, feel free to share it with your family and friends. I am Vyas, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have an awesome day.